fixed a grant of 4,000 dirhams for every early emigrant, that is muhajir, and fixed a grant of 3,500 dirhams only for Ibn Umar. Somebody said to Umar, Ibn Umar is also one of the early emigrants, why do you give him less than 4,000? Umar replied, his parents took him with them when they migrated, so he was not like the one who had migrated by himself. Volume 5, Book 58, number 252, narrated by Kebab. We migrated with Allah's Apostle, see Hadith number 253 below. Volume 5, Book 58, number 253, narrated by Kebab. We migrated with Allah's Apostle seeking Allah's countenance, so our rewards became due and sure with Allah. Some of us passed away without eating anything of their rewards in this world. One of these was Musab bin Umar, who was martyred on the day of the Battle of Uhud. We did not find anything to shroud his body with except a striped cloak. When we covered his head with it, his feet remained uncovered, and when we covered his feet with it, his head remained uncovered. So Allah's Apostle ordered us to cover his head with it, and put some idkir, that is a kind of grass, over his feet. And there are some amongst us whose fruits have ripened, and they are collecting them, that is they have received their rewards in this world. Volume 5, Book 58, number 254, narrated by Abu Burda bin Abi Musa al-Ash'ari. Abdullah bin Umar said to me, do you know what my father said to your father once? I said no. He said, my father said to your father, O Abu Musa, will it please you that we will be rewarded for our conversion to Islam with Allah's Apostle, and our migration with him, and our jihad with him, and all our good deeds which we did with him, and that all the deeds we did after his death will be disregarded whether good or bad? Your father, that is Abu Musa, said no, by Allah we took part in jihad after Allah's Apostle, prayed and did plenty of good deeds, and many people have embraced Islam at our hands, and no doubt we expect rewards from Allah for these good deeds. On that my father, that is Umar, said, as for myself, by him in whose hand Umar's soul is, I wish that the deeds done by us at the time of the Prophet remain rewardable, while whatsoever we did after the death of the Prophet be enough to save us from punishment, in that the good deeds compensate for the bad ones. On that I said, to Ibn Umar, by Allah your father was better than my father. Volume 5, Book 58, number 255, narrated by Abu Uthman. I heard that Ibn Umar used to become angry if someone mentioned that he had migrated before his father, Umar, and he used to say, Umar and I came to Allah's Apostle and found him having his midday rest, so we returned home. Then Umar sent me again, to the Prophet, and said, go and see whether he is awake. I went to him and entered his place and gave him the pledge of allegiance. Then I went back to Umar and informed him that the Prophet was awake. So we both went running slowly, and when Umar entered his place he gave him the pledge of allegiance, and thereafter I too gave him the pledge of allegiance. Volume 5, Book 58, number 256, narrated by Al-Bara Abu Bakr bought a camel's saddle from Azib, and I carried it for him. Azib, that is my father, asked Abu Bakr regarding the journey of the migration of Allah's Apostle. Abu Bakr said, close observers were appointed by our enemies to watch us. So we went out at night and traveled throughout the night and the following day till it was noon. Then we perceived a rock and went towards it, and there was some shade under it. I spread a cloak I had with me for Allah's Apostle, and then the Prophet laid on it. I went out to guard him, and all of a sudden I saw a shepherd coming with his sheep, looking for the shade of the rock as we did. I asked him, O boy, to whom do you belong? He replied, I belong to so-and-so. I asked him, is there some milk in your sheep? He replied in the affirmative. I asked him, will you milk? He replied in the affirmative. Then he got hold of one of his sheep. I said to him, remove the dust from its udder. Then he milked a little milk. I had a water skin with me which was tied with a piece of cloth. I had prepared the water skin for Allah's Apostle, so I poured some water over the milk container till its bottom became cold. Then I brought the milk to the Prophet and said, drink, O Allah's Apostle. Allah's Apostle drank till I became pleased. Then we departed and the pursuers were following us. Al-Bara added, I then went with Abu Bakr into his home, carrying that saddle, and there I saw his daughter, Aisha, lying in a bed because of heavy fever, and I saw her father Abu Bakr kissing her cheek and saying, how are you, little daughter? Volume 5, Book 58, number 257, narrated by Anas, the servant of the Prophet. When the Prophet arrived at Medina, there was not a single companion of the Prophet who had gray and black hair except Abu Bakr, and he dyed his hair with henna and katam, that is, plants used for dyeing hair. Through another group of narrators, Anas bin Malik said, When the Prophet arrived at Medina, the eldest amongst his companions was Abu Bakr. He dyed his hair with henna and khatam till it became of dark red color. Volume 5, Book 58, number 258, narrated by Aisha Abu Bakr, married a woman from the tribe of Bani Kalb called Bakr. When Abu Bakr migrated to Medina, he divorced her and she was married by her cousin, the poet who said the following poem lamenting the infidels of Quraysh. What is there kept in the well of Badr, the owners of the trays of roasted camel humps? What is there kept in the well of Badr, the owners of lady singers and friends of the honorable companions, who used to drink wine together? Bakr greets us with the greeting of peace, but can I find peace after my people have gone? The apostle tells us that we shall live again, but what sort of life will owls and skulls live? Volume 5, Book 58, number 259, narrated by Abu Bakr. I was with the Prophet in the cave. When I raised my head I saw the feet of the people. I said, O Allah's apostle, if some of them should look down, they will see us. The Prophet said, O Abu Bakr, be quiet, for we are two, and Allah is the third of us. Volume 5, Book 58, number 260, narrated by Abu Sa'id. Once a Bedouin came to the Prophet and asked him about the migration. The Prophet said, Mercy of Allah be on you, the migration is a quite difficult matter, have you got some camels? He replied in the affirmative. Then the Prophet said, Do you give their zakat? He replied in the affirmative. The Prophet said, Do you let others benefit by their milk gratis? He replied in the affirmative. Then the Prophet asked, Do you milk them on their watering days and give their milk to the poor and needy? He replied in the affirmative. The Prophet said, Go on doing like this from beyond the seas, and there is no doubt that Allah will not overlook any of your good deeds. Volume 5, Book 58, number 261, narrated by Al-Bara. The first people who came to us in Medina were Musab bin Umar and Ibn Maktum. Then came to us Ammar bin Yasir and Bilal. Volume 5, Book 58, number 262, narrated by Al-Bara bin Azib. The first people who came to us in Medina were Musab bin Umar and Ibn Maktum, who were teaching Quran to the people. Then there came Bilal, Sa'd and Ammar bin Yasir. After that Umar bin al-Khattab came along with 20 other companions of the Prophet. Later on the Prophet himself, to Medina. And I had never seen the people of Medina so joyful as they were on the arrival of Allah's apostle, for even the slave girls were saying, Allah's apostle has arrived. And before his arrival I had read the surah starting with, Glorify the name of your Lord the Most High, 87.1, together with other surahs of Al-Mufassal. Volume 5, Book 58, number 263, narrated by Aisha. When Allah's apostle came to Medina, Abu Bakr and Bilal got fever, and I went to both of them and said, O my father, how do you feel? O Bilal, how do you feel? Whenever Abu Bakr's fever got worse, he would say, Every man will meet his death once in one morning while he will be among his family, for death is really nearer to him than his leather shoelaces to his feet. And whenever fever deserted Bilal, he would say aloud, Would that I know whether I shall spend a night in the valley of Mecca, with Idkir and Jalil, that is kinds of grass, around me, and whether I shall drink one day the water of Mijana, and whether I shall see once again the hills of Shama and Tafil. Then I went to Allah's apostle, and told him of that. He said, O Allah, make us love Medina as much as or more than we used to love Mecca. O Allah, make it healthy and bless its sa and mud, that is measures, and take away its fever to Al-Jufa. Volume 5, Book 58, number 264, narrated by Ubaydullah bin Ad bin Kiyer. I went to Uthman. After reciting Tashahhud, he said, Then after no doubt Allah sent Muhammad with the truth, and I was amongst those who responded to the call of Allah and his Prophet and believed in the message of Muhammad, then took part in the 2 migrations. I became the son-in-law of Allah's apostle, and gave the pledge of allegiance to him. By Allah, I never disobeyed him, nor did I deceive him till Allah took him unto him. Volume 5, Book 58, number 265, narrated by Ibn Abbas. During the last Hajj led by Umar, Abdurrahman bin Auf returned to his family at Mina and met me there. Abdurrahman said to Umar, O chief of the believers, the season of Hajj is the season when there comes the scum of the people, besides the good amongst them, so I recommend that you should wait till you go back to Medina, for it is the place of migration and sunnah, that is the Prophet's tradition, and there you will be able to refer the matter to the religious scholars and the nobles and the people of wise opinions. Umar said, I will speak of it in Medina on my very first sermon I will deliver there. Volume 5, Book 58, number 266. narrated by Al-Allah, an Ansari woman who gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet that the Ansar drew lots concerning the dwelling of the emigrants. Uthman bin Mazun was decided to dwell with them, that is, Allah's family. Uthman fell ill and I nursed him till he died, and we covered him with his clothes. Then the Prophet came to us and I, addressing the dead body, said, "O Abu as-Sa'ib, may Allah's mercy be on you, I bear witness that Allah has honored you." On that the Prophet said, "How do you know that Allah has honored him?" I replied, "I do not know. May my father and my mother be sacrificed for you, O Allah's apostle. But who else is worthy of it, if not Uthman?" He said, "As to him, by Allah, death has overtaken him, and I hope the best for him. By Allah, though I am the apostle of Allah, yet I do not know what Allah will do to me. By Allah, I will never assert the piety of anyone after him." That made me sad, and when I slept I saw in a dream a flowing stream for Uthman bin Mazun. I went to Allah's apostle and told him of it. He remarked, "That symbolizes his good deeds." Volume 5, Book 58, number 267, narrated by Aisha. The day of Bu'ath was a day, that is battle, which Allah caused to take place just before the mission of his apostle, so that when Allah's apostle came to Medina, they, the tribes, had divided into hostile groups, and their nobles had been killed, and all that facilitated their conversion to Islam. Volume 5, Book 58, number 268, narrated by Aisha. That once Abu Bakr came to her on the day of Eid-ul-Fitr or Eid-ul-Adha while the Prophet was with her, and there were 2 girl singers with her singing songs of the Ansar about the day of Bu'ath. Abu Bakr said twice, "Musical instrument of Satan." But the Prophet said, "Leave them, Abu Bakr, for every nation has an Eid, that is festival, and this day is our Eid." Volume 5, Book 58, number 269, narrated by Anas bin Malik. When Allah's apostle arrived at Medina, he alighted at the upper part of Medina among the people called Bani Amr bin Auf, and he stayed with them for 14 nights. Then he sent for the chiefs of Bani an-Najjar, and they came carrying their swords. As if I am just now looking at Allah's apostle on his she-camel with Abu Bakr riding behind him, on the same camel, and the chiefs of Bani an-Najjar around him till he dismounted in the courtyard of Abu Ayyub's home. The Prophet used to offer the prayer wherever the prayer was due, and he would pray even in sheepfolds. Then he ordered that the mosque be built. He sent for the chiefs of Banu an-Najjar, and when they came he said, "O Banu an-Najjar, suggest to me the price of this garden of yours." They replied, "No, by Allah, we do not demand its price except from Allah." In that garden there were the following things that I will tell you: graves of pagans, unleveled land with holes and pits, etc., and date palm trees. Allah's apostle ordered that the graves of the pagans be dug up and the unleveled land be leveled and the date palm trees be cut down. The trunks of the trees were arranged so as to form the wall facing the Qibla. The stone pillars were built at the sides of its gate. The companions of the Prophet were carrying the stones and reciting some lyrics, and Allah's apostle was with them, and they were saying, "O Allah, there is no good excel the good of the hereafter, so bestow victory on the Ansar and the emigrants." Volume 5, Book 58, number 270, narrated by Abdurrahman bin Humayd az-Zuri. I heard Umar bin Abdulaziz asking As-Sa'ib, the nephew of An-Nimr, "What have you heard about residing in Mecca?" The other said, "I heard Al-Allah bin al-Hadrami saying, Allah's apostle said, an emigrant is allowed to stay in Mecca for 3 days after departing from Mina, that is after performing all the ceremonies of Hajj." Volume 5, Book 58, number 271, narrated by Sahl bin Sa'd. The Prophet's companions did not take as a starting date for the Muslim calendar the day the Prophet had been sent as an apostle or the day of his death, but the day of his arrival at Medina. Volume 5, Book 58, number 272, narrated by Aisha. Originally, 2 rakat were prescribed in every prayer. When the Prophet migrated to Medina, 4 rakat were enjoined, while the journey prayer remained unchanged, i.e. 2 rakat. Volume 5, Book 58, number 273, narrated by Sa'd bin Malik. In the year of Hajjat ul-Wada, the Prophet visited me when I fell ill and was about to die because of that illness. I said, "O Allah's apostle, I am very ill as you see, and I am a rich man and have no heir except my only daughter. Shall I give 2/3 of my property in charity?" He said, "No." I said, "Shall I then give 1/2 of it in charity?" He said, "O Sa'd, give 1/3 in charity, and even 1/3 is too much. No doubt it is better to leave your children rich than to leave them poor, reduced to begging from others, and Allah will reward you for whatever you spend with the intention of